Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Justina, creator of Bohemian Magic Studios, and I'm really excited because this is my very first video with my new camera. I got a new phone, and you guys have probably been hearing me say this a while on my channel now, probably since before the pandemic went down. I had every intention of upgrading my camera quality. Then the pandemic happened, and one thing, after another, and then I just never got around to it, and other things kind of took precedence. So but my phone that I had just now, I'm not going to say what model I had because it's completely embarrassing, but it stopped holding a charge, so I was kind of not forced to upgrade, but I was kind of just like getting sick of dealing with it all the time. So that was definitely the deciding factor in me finally deciding to take the leap and getting a new device. Not only is it a new phone, it's a new camera as well. It records in different frame rates like 24, 30, and 60. In HD and also in 4K, which I'm not sure I'm going to use just yet because my computer is very old as well. And as my husband said, if you use 4K on this camera and you try to upload it onto that computer, it's probably going to explode. So yeah, I'm just going to take it like one step at a time. And probably not going to do any 4K videos yet, but those are going to be coming probably soon if I decide to get a new computer. So 2021 has been the year of the up and up. I got a new printer, I got a new phone, and my computer is next. So I'm really excited to be leveling up in my business and my little passion project, Bohemian Magic Studios. So today's video is going to be a little different. I actually have a package here that I want to unpackage. A friend of mine on Instagram, her name is Alise Versella, I think I'm saying her name correctly. She is a Jersey girl, and we've been supporting each other and following each other on Instagram for a while now, probably like a good 5 years. And one thing we both have in common, and one thing we both bonded over and became friends over on the platform, is Francesca Block, both of our favorite author ever. Both of ours favorite. I lost English. So yeah. We both just really love Francesca Block's work, and I believe Alise has even worked with Francesca. I think she took a workshop of hers. She actually just wrote a book, a poetry book, and yeah, I actually just bought it to support, because you gotta support, our fellow small creators. So, and she's a fellow Jersey girl, so I just had to support her. I really wanted to unbox it here on the channel and tell you guys a little bit more about it, so then you can go support her work as well. I believe she also signed it. And this is called When Wolves Become Birds, and this is the cover art. Very cute, and I believe this is self-published. Oh no, it's published by Golden Dragonfly Press, unless that's her own personal publishing company. I don't know. I've never heard of that publisher before. The genre is self-help, personal transformation, and poetry by women, and inspirational poetry. I just love the cover so much. And this whole thing kind of reminds me of the whole women who run with the wolves type of vibe. But that book is like a lot of different like short stories and stuff, and very also in the realm of self-help, personal transformation, and also inspirational stories by women and for women. Just to read a little synopsis here, this is what the back of the book says. So, to those girls figuring out how to shed their insecurities and trust again in the broad expanse of their wings. To women finding themselves at a crossroads in life, this book will remind you of your strengths. Wolf girl, get back your wings and dare to fly. And a little bit about Alise. Alise Versella is a Pushcart nominated contributing writer for the Rebel Society, whose work has been published in Circle Show, COG or COG magazine, Crack the Spine, Entropy, The Opiate, Penumbra Literary and Art Journal, Poitras Review, Ultraviolet Tribe, What Rough Beast, Steam Ticket, and Elephant Journal. I have heard of Elephant Journal, among others. Verlies has worked with author Francesca Block and women's spiritual poetry. She performs throughout New Jersey and has taught poetry workshops at local libraries and schools. And you can check out all of her works at aliseversella.com right there. So here's a little bit of the praise for When Wolves Become Birds. And this is so beautiful. Francesca actually did a little, like a byline, like a little one-line thing, like a praise line. So she says, "Lovely imagery driven by real passion," by Francesca Leah Block. Girl, you got a dedication from Francesca herself. That is so freaking cool. Fangirling. Oh my god. Francesca is the goddess. The next one says, "Poems which are full of evocative phrases, the gnarled fingers of crones." Wow, I can't talk. "The gnarled fingers of crones, a birch bark church, and beautiful images, an eclipse of moths, in spring I molt winter's wings," by YUKA Igarashi. And another line by HENRY STERRY says, "Poems that are savage yet vulnerable, with breathtaking twists of language, talons in the earth, and wings soaring in the sky. Transcendent imagery, deep diving beneath the pelt of women to the beating heart and the fiery brain." I was spellbound. So beautiful. And oh, so cute. Oh, she wrote me a little, she signed it for me. She said, "Justina, howl often, soar higher," and she signed it. So thank you so much, Alise, for signing that for me. Cover illustration by Andrea Hernjak. I hope I'm saying that right. HRNJAK. All right, so the little dedication says, "This is for the Wolf Girls." So let's just go through the contents. It's a very short book. It's only about 59 pages. Oh, and she's actually written 3 other books. 5 Foot Voice, the selected works of Alise Versella, Onion Heart, Peel Back Your Layers, and A Few Wild Stanzas, poems, which is just another book of poems. But this is all poems. This isn't any like short stories or anything. It's just a lot of poems. But let's just go through the table of contents and see what, she has in store for us. So the first poem is "I Have Never Written Love Poems." Then we have "Hunting Season." Then we have "The Girl I Thought I Was." Then we have "The Morrigan." Then "This Is How We Change," "Grave Robbing," "A Hallowed Space," 45 Appleby Avenue, "One Day I Will Go Through Menopause and I Won't Sweat a Breakup." That's the name of one of her poems. "The Owl Tattoo." I hope I'm saying this right. "Cloison Vase" or "Cloison Vase." I'm probably botching that. Might be French. I don't speak French, so don't know how to say that. Then we have "Lily, Fern Hollow," "Winter Hush," "Crow Totem," "The Phoenix," "I Used to Be Tame Once," "Seeds Do Not Shrink Smaller into the Soil, They Unfurl," "All Demigods Sing Off Key," "Where Does Self-Doubt Measure on the Richter Scale," "The State of Burning," "Deposits in the Dirt," "Lanoka Harbor," "I Stand at the Shoreline, Captain," "I Will Never Say I Need You," "Diana the Huntress," "I Don't Care to Be Pretty," "In Defense of My Existence," "A Girl's Whole Life Can Be Found in Her Purse," true, "Dangerous and Noble Things," "A Natural Disaster," "The Distance Between Two Selves," "If Planted, Flowers Will Grow in a Boneyard," "I Am Here for Me," "When Wolves Become Birds," which is the title of the book. Then we have "I Will Edit Manuscripts, but I Will Not Edit Myself," like that. And "For All the Dreams I Still Have Yet to Dream, and All the Dreams Once Had." And then the last one is "A Walking Verse of Poetry." And then there's acknowledgements at the end of the book. And here we have another illustration, basically a half of what was on the cover in black and white. I'm just gonna read a few today. So let's see, which one do I want to read? Okay, let's just start off with the very first one, and then I'll kind of skip around from there. I'm not gonna read every single one because it'd be a very long video, but I do kind of want to read the ones that kind of the titles just call to me. So I'm gonna just start off with the first one, just to start the one that kicks off the book. I kind of just like want to see what one kicks off the book. So this one says, "I have never written love poems." So, "Never felt they gut me, the way a hunter guts his kill. You need to cut open the body, disembowel it, before the innards poison the meat. You are holding onto heartbreak because it produces better poetry. The trick of it is never write a poem to live flesh. Write instead to what has passed. One day you will look upon the bloodstained forest, not with regret, You will thank the deer for its sustenance, and the hunter the strong stomach needed to empty you out. And let me just say that I relate to this poem so much because I'm a songwriter. I used to write songs. That's just what I did. I haven't written one in a while, but for a really long time, that was like my lifeline. That's how I got all my emotions out. That's how I expressed myself. And this is saying that you need to cut open the body, disembowel it before the innards poison the meat. You need to get that out of your system before those emotions themselves kind of like eat you from the inside out. Emotions, when not dealt with, can make you a very bitter person. So you got to get that poison out of you somehow. That's how I'm interpreting anyways. And I'm sure she's cool with like this being open to interpretation, but however she wrote it, I'm sure she has her own intention for what this means, but this is kind of what I'm getting from this. Okay, so the trick of it is to never write a poem to live flesh. Write instead to what has passed. So basically, write about things in retrospect, never when you're like hot in the moment, and you gotta let it sit and like marinate for a little bit before you can process those emotions. And one day you will look upon the bloodstained forest, not with regret. You will thank the deer for its sustenance. So going back to the title of like love poems, and basically to whoever these love poems would be about, and my songs, whoever my songs were about, sometimes people go through these like relationships, whether they're toxic or not, or they just ended for whatever reason. Sometimes we look back with regret and we say, oh, I wish I never met that person. Oh, I wish I never, started a relationship with that person. But this is saying, don't look back with regret. Instead, thank that relationship, that deer, for its sustenance, because that heartbreak is what fueled the eventual creation of this beautiful poetry, artwork, song, whatever the case. Like, that heartbreak kind of fuels beautiful creation. Like, you can still get beautiful things out of such a heartbreaking experience, is what I'm getting from this. Never felt they got me the way a hunter guts his kill. So that's what I'm getting from this, is just like, don't look at relationships or, relationships that end, don't look at them as like something to regret. And maybe we do regret some things, but in the end, if you can get something beautiful out of that relationship, regardless of whether it ended or not. Oh, hi. Hello, do you want to say hi to your fans? Yeah? Come here. Good girl, come here. Come here, come say hi. Yeah. Oh, she wants to say hi. She was sleeping and then she probably heard my voice, so she wants you to hear. Oh, my booby. What are you doing? What are you doing, my pretty girl? My pretty girl. So that was the first poem. And I right away can totally relate. As a creator myself and a person who has created in the past to get myself through those relationships that ultimately ended, yeah, I can definitely relate. Like, looking back, and not with regret, but like looking at all the art and all the songs and poetry and artwork that I created as a result of heartbreak. I love all of those things that I have created as a result of those. So if you think about it, if those relationships didn't happen and I didn't go through that heartbreak, I wouldn't have had that sustenance, as she pertains to that heartbreak in the book. That sustenance, I wouldn't have had all of that sustenance to eventually go on and create the things I have created in the past, and things that other people have reached out to me and told me that they can relate to. And thank you so much for creating this, because it helped me get through that tough time. So, we don't always go through heartbreak only for ourselves, right? We go through it to eventually create things for other people to then relate to and heal from as well. So I really love the message of this first poem. Love it so far. Let's see. The Girl I Thought I Was, page 3. Okay, so the girl I thought I was. I bargained my soul, watched it leave my body, through a pyramid of quartz, I was looking for my shadow in blood-red moonlight, my reflection in sleeting rain. My voice was a hollow howl, echoing, then fading. All I could offer was my pain, carved from these 7 layers of flesh. So I gave the scorned king the marrow from my bones in exchange for a burial in snow. The pine trees shriveled like the gnarled fingers of crones. The crows made a bed for me from their feathers, a nest for my corpse. And I succumbed to the dying, surrendered to the frost, to grieve the girl I thought I was. That's just beautiful. The imagery in this, the crows made a bed for me from the feathers, from their feathers, a nest for my corpse. I think what I get from this is that like maybe a former version of herself is dying, or she's putting that former version of herself to rest in order to maybe heal and ascend to her higher sense of self, is what I'm getting from this. Again, very beautiful. The girl I thought I was maybe is, you know, a more painful, shadow-driven version of herself. So maybe she's putting that version of herself to rest, and she's trying to ascend to her higher self. So that's basically what I get from that one. That one's very short and simple. Well, not simple, obviously. It's very complex. It's just, there's a darkness to it, but it's just still very beautiful. So let's see. Next, let's do... One day I will go through menopause, so I won't sweat a breakup. That's funny. All right, so let's see. 9. Okay, 10. Page 10. One day I will go through menopause, so I won't sweat a breakup. I shouldn't have to bleed for the things I think are owed to me, like selfless love. After all of these years of giving, did I not give enough of my blood? Every month, how I thanked some God above for the chemistry I swallowed. Don't you love how I don't spit, I swallow, and I swallowed every word, and I believed you? Believed mine was the love that freed you, while tirelessly building a pen to corral myself into? I don't need to need you, but I wanted to. Loving you shouldn't mean loving myself less, like I am some creature the hunter can possess. Look at the rabbit heart I pulled beating from its chest. But I am no rabbit running, I am the bear, and it is not fair to roll over now and play dead, like I didn't use the last of my arrows to defend you. The bow was made from willow trees, but this body was not made for bending. The birds are aware of love's ending, before the heart knows, they alight from the branches like when a storm comes. They don't have the language to say what broken hearts become, but if I keep bleeding, will time tell? And that's the end of that one. And I like that one because this one's kind of like talking about like that self-sacrifice that you do sometimes, and whether this is talking about a relationship or you know, even a job. Like, you know, I know many of us have worked jobs before where we feel like we have sacrificed some part of ourselves and given them all of our blood, you know, and they keep taking and taking and taking, and eventually there's nothing left for us, right? So obviously this is talking about a breakup, so this is clearly about, you know, a relationship. But there's other kinds of relationships that end. So I definitely can relate to this in both of those ways. But yeah, after all these years of giving, did I not give enough of my blood? I can totally relate to this. Like selfless love. Yeah, some of us, I feel like we sacrifice ourselves way too much than we should. We need to look out after our own happiness at the end of the day. And it is not fair to roll over now and play dead like I didn't use the last of my arrows to defend you. Yeah, sometimes we are in denial. We don't think that, you know, we're sacrificing part of ourselves. We think we're doing something for the greater good, right? But at the end, it's just, you need to realize that, yeah, this situation isn't good for me, and I should really move on. Why wasn't that enough for you? I don't need to need you, but I wanted to. Yeah, and it's like that tarot card. I think it's like the 9 of Wands or something, when the person's like, their like hands are like behind their back, but like the rope is like very loosely, like not even completely tied around them. They have every means to escape, right? But ultimately they don't want to. Okay, I actually had to just like pull out my tarot deck just to see what that card was. It's not the Nine of Wands, it's actually the Eight of Swords. But you can see here how the person is like, you know, bounded, but they can totally get out of that situation. Here's another one. This is my Joie de Vie deck. But they're there by choice. We always have the option to leave a situation, but sometimes we just don't want to because of the mental blocks, because of fear. We're scared of what happens if we leave that situation. What if I don't have a situation or a backup plan, or, you know, whatever. If it's a job, like, right? Like, what if I don't have another job lined up? Or if it's a person, like, what if I can't find somebody else to love me? Like, whatever the case, like, we're always scared to leave a situation, even if it's bad for us, just because of our own fears. So I feel like this poem definitely has a lot to do with those themes. I can definitely relate to that one as well. Let's move on to Fern Hollow. Sounds pretty. Let's read that one. Fern Hollow. I like that name. Okay. Fern Hollow. I am made of bone and feather and fur. My skull is home to crows. I shift shape in the snow. In spring, I molt winter's wings. Beneath these quills, my heart beats. My forests grow wild and free. With butterflies and stinging bees, I am Eden's tree. My rib cage blooms with marigolds and daisies. Owls make nocturnal nests. In between my shoulder blades, I dance like a few wild stanzas, tribal dancing, pounding my talons into the mud, until all my feathers will fall out, until I finally come undone. The imagery in this one is just beautiful. I shift shape in the snow, in spring I molt winter's wings. Oh my god, I love that. My forests grow wild and free. This one just seems like, you know, just being uninhibited. She says at the end, I finally come undone. I feel like as women, we're always so pressured to like be conservative and be like, you know, grounded. And I mean, yeah, being grounded is cool and all, but you know, sometimes we just want to run free, like the uninhibited wolf woman that we are. And that's kind of like what the book Women Who Run with the Wolves kind of like embodies, all of those themes of, you know, just being in touch with that innate carnal part of ourselves that just wants to be free and be wild. So that book is saying run with the wolves. This book is saying get back your wings and dare to fly. I feel like she took the themes from Women Who Run with the Wolves and kind of like she put like her own spin on it. Once we are able to finally run free, like that inner wolf that we have within us, then we can finally fly and then become those birds. It's a cool concept. So Fern Hollow, very pretty. I love the imagery in that one. Let's read I Used to Be Tame Once, because like I was just saying, as women, I feel like we're all pressured by society to, you know, be a good girl or, you know, play by the rules. Obviously, this says I used to be tame once, but that's also implying that now she's the wild being that she's meant to be. So I used to be tame once. I used to sing about the unwinding of a hot summer evening, the crash of our souls upon the body of the beach, and now my heart is unbinding. As the salt slams up against the jetty rocks, I sing now about the culmination of a season releasing its demons, how man becomes the lion and the lion becomes beast, and snares the gazelle in his pointed teeth. The waters rushing in, and we're submerged in the tide, drowning in the voices of ghosts. Then the voice sings out. It echoes. Through the sunken halls of shipwrecked lungs, panics the heart that couldn't recognize the beat of its own song. That ghost in the throat is my own. I will sing of oceans tumbling, of the untamed Serengeti, the wild beast inside of me. An ocean will spill like ink from out of me, the words clawing their way out, growling, I will never be tamed. So this is talking about the ghost in the throat is my own. Through the sunken halls of shipwrecked lungs, panics the heart that couldn't recognize the beat of its own song. So this to me says that for a long time she, you know, stifled her voice. Maybe for a long time she was afraid to be heard, afraid to speak her truth. And this is saying that a culmination of a season releasing its demons, how man becomes a lion, and the lion becomes a beast and snares the gazelle in his pointed teeth. So she's finally releasing all of the need to, you know, not be so guarded anymore or not feel so restricted anymore. Like now she's letting it loose. She's letting her voice sing out. Untamed, of the untamed Serengeti, the wild beast inside of me. Yeah, the words clawing their way out, growling. So she's finally letting out all of that stuff she held back for so long. She's speaking her truth, and she's becoming that wild wolf or lion, as she says, that she's destined to be. So she's no longer tame. She's living her truth. She's speaking her truth. And that is a testament to truth, this poem to me. This poem says, I'm speaking my truth and I'm unapologetic about it, and I'm gonna own my truth, own my power, and own my voice, because it's important. Let your voice be heard. Let's read, where does self-doubt measure on the Richter scale? Because I'm gonna be honest, I've been going through a lot of self-doubt lately. So I think I could use a little encouragement. I have divided my body like the world, halved by an equator. Each part of me, a city built among a fault line. Here comes the tremor, sending a frenzy of birds to take flight from my branches. But I will send these streets to fire first, light them up like sage, and I will become the moon to control the tides. Notice how the ocean waves don't ever look behind at the horizon. They just keep breaking forward towards the shore. So I may be the earth quaking, crumbling, but I will never doubt the strength of my core. This one is kind of like a testament to that inner power that we all know and have. I will become the moon to control the tides. That's a very powerful statement, because the moon and the tides, like, it's just a very like strong pull, and the moon has such influence over the tides, and the ocean is such a huge and vast mystery that like so many different things lie in it. The ocean is just such a powerful force to be able to be controlled by anything. And like something as small as the moon in the sky that we see like from like hundreds of thousands of miles away is able to have some kind of influence on all of that. And so for her to say that I will become the moon to control the tides, like that is owning a lot of power. Like that is her stepping into her power at that moment. And I also love, but I will send these streets to fire first, light them up like sage. Like, she's gonna start some shit. Yeah, I just love the imagery in these poems so much. And also comparing self-doubt to an earthquake. The Richter scale, as we all know, is how we measure the intensity of an earthquake. So to compare her self-doubt and her inner power to that of an earthquake is a pretty cool analogy. She knows she has the inner power to make the earth move. We don't always own our power, and sometimes we're a little hesitant to step into it completely because we know we have the power to make waves and to cause tremors. But sometimes we're so scared of stepping into that because what if it does happen? We're used to like dreaming and thinking about things about how they would be if they were our reality. We're just stuck in that dream mode because we're so scared to put those wheels in motion and make those things happen. Making your dreams become a reality can be a really scary thing. In order to make your dream into reality, you have to go through kind of a metamorphosis. You have to cause that change to happen. Getting out of your comfort zone alone is a very horrifying thing to a lot of people, including myself. Of course, like I'm resistant to a lot of change, but it's talking yourself up. It's knowing that you got this, and knowing that you can make mountains move, and you can cause those internal tsunamis. You can make those natural disasters occur. You can stir some shit up. You can make these changes happen because you have the power to do so. And don't be afraid of the power that you have and the changes that you can make occur. Because once you get over to the other side and once you realize that your dreams have become your reality, it's just a beautiful thing. So very beautiful, beautiful poem. So maybe with that line, so I may be the earth quaking, crumbling, but I will never doubt the strength of my core. Maybe it means that, you know, all of, you know, the material things or the things around us that distract us on a daily basis, those things are gonna have an influence on, you know, our day-to-day emotions. And those waves that she's talking about kind of synonymous with those emotions, because we're made of water too, so we're constantly on an emotional roller coaster every day. But she's saying that even though the earth around her may fall away, and you know, some of those structures or things that made her feel comfortable that she put in place for herself, maybe those around her can fall away, but at the core of her, she knows who she is, she knows her power, and she's gonna stand her ground until she achieves what she has set out to do. Her dreams, her goals, her aspirations, all of that stuff. Her self-love, the things that ultimately make us who we are, our morality, the things that we stand for, the things that we believe to be true, our truth, our inner knowing. So she doesn't doubt the strength of her core. I want to read I Don't Care to Be Pretty, because lately I'm approaching 40 in a few years. I'm not gonna say how old I am exactly, but yeah, it's coming around the bend pretty quickly. And lately, you know, I've been feeling a lot of pressure. I haven't been feeling comfortable filming myself, being on camera anymore. Like, you know, I look at myself in the mirror and definitely things are changing, even in the past few years. Naturally, you know, we just age, and you know, one day we wake up and look in the mirror and we're like, when did that happen? And like, being a social media person and being on YouTube and having to talk to the camera, sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I don't want to film today. Like, I'm not liking how tired I look, or like, you know, these bags are in my eyes. And constantly feeling the pressure to put on a pretty face and do the thing. Even today, I like, you know, had a mini meltdown about the bags under my eyes, putting on like 3 layers of makeup. But at the end of the day, I know that's not what's important. I know what's important is like my message and what I have in here and what I have to share with the world. That's what's important. So if I can get a little inspiration and a little encouragement with this poem, let's see what this says. Okay, so she says, I don't care to be pretty. And maybe pretty doesn't even mean your looks alone. Maybe it's just like how you present yourself. So she says, I will never be the girl with the pretty mouth. That's absolutely true. For the girl with the pretty mouth is the girl who will eventually get slapped along the length of it, who will grow ashamed of its curling corners, because everyone will tell her to smile, show teeth. Will hear my teeth and molars biting, and I do not have a sweet tongue. I am always just a little bit bothersome, my words and opinions grating like mosquitoes, sucking and draining. I will draw your blood. I will leave an impression you might not like, but I will leave one, like the indentations bodies make in grass, bloody and outlined by chalk. The entry mark, a blemish, like acne on my skin. I refuse to cover up. Witness my ugly, my grime and filth, like the sewers in the city. This is my humanity, the sick of me. You don't deserve what thrives in this garden if you cannot come to terms with worms. Oh, I love that line. The maggots that will make a home of my rotting flesh. You don't deserve my best. I don't trade pleasantries with hypocrites, misogynists. I am not the girl with the pretty mouth. My mouth is a dark cavern, gaping like the whole Munch painted. A mirror to reflect your vulgarity. So do not tell me I don't sound like a lady. What makes you think you sound like a man? I love that so much. Yeah, so many times as women, you know, I'm not speaking for all men, but you know, the misogynists, even some misogynist women out there, just saying, we're expected to just shut up and put up with bullshit. And you know, this is just saying that I'm not gonna put up with that shit. I am who I am. I have my opinions. You're not gonna like them, but I don't care. I just love this so much. It's just like speaking your truth and not giving a shit who you're offending, especially people who have nothing but trash to say to you. Yeah, don't expect us just because we're women and we're expected to sit there and be pretty. We're humans too. We have our opinions too. We can be pretty. We can, you know, play nice if we want to. But not everybody deserves that side of us. Not everybody deserves you at your best. Some people, if they see your best, some people will take advantage of that and exploit that. And that's when you run into situations with like energy vampires and, you know, people that feed off of, you know, the beautiful things that you have to offer to the world, and they spin it and turn it into a negative thing. Fuck those people. Save your garden for people who appreciate it, is what this is saying. Let's read The Distance Between Two Selves. Consider the distance between 2 points. The first is a height, the second the fear of the climb, and the distance extends out like a telescope. The farther a star moves away, it's in this way wings betray a blue jay. But consider the altitudes a body can reach, like a body asleep projects the soul to an astral plane. How a dream, given branches, builds a nest, a home, and does not second guess, feathers left to compost. Heavy may be the bags of bitter salts that breaks open like the earth, where the heart, heavy-handed it spreads like chaos. The load trusted more than the ability to bear it. The lover considered foolish. How she lets her body burst forth with brilliant understanding of what it means to love someone as much as she loves herself. Stop trying to calculate what can't be measured. Like ocean fathoms and familiar phantoms, their hauntings mistaken for friendship. Trust again in the night sky. Do not mourn the fading of its stars as they burn, scorching the arid dirt. You are the sapling reaching, but you are not the binding root, and your tears will not set the ground aflame. They extinguish the thirst of so many choking doves. Darling, the mountain is never the obstacle. It has always been your fear of the stumble. Do you think all fledgling birds consider distance before they learn flight? No, they simply fly. And that is really beautiful. So I think that's a huge, powerful message there. That last line, darling, the mountain is never the obstacle. It has always been your fear of the stumble. And this goes back to what I was saying before, how sometimes fear is our biggest obstacle. It's not actually doing the work. It's the fear of what might happen once we put in that work. And when we put in that work and we go through the motions, the cogs are turning. When that's going on, we're breaking down those layers of ourselves, those fears, those mental blocks. All of that crumbles away. We don't realize it, but we are actually in the process of shedding layers and layers of comfortability. When we can shed those comfortable parts of ourselves, or those things that make us feel safe and comfortable. I feel like comfort breeds complacency, but when we can shed those parts of ourselves and like really put in the work, we can move those mountains. So that's not the problem. It's the fear of just taking that first step. And I also love this. Do you think all fledgling birds consider distance before they learn flight? No, they simply fly. And it's really funny, like a couple days ago, me and my husband were leaving the house and there was a little fledgling bird on our doorstep. It looked like it might have fallen out of the tree, but we didn't see a nest up above or anything. We were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with this little baby bird? Then we did some research, didn't want to touch it because, you know, I always hear if you touch a bird, then mama disowns it. And I didn't want that bird to, you know, have a doomed fate because we did something stupid. So we just watched it for a little bit, and then sure enough, mama came, fed it like a worm or something, and then flew off to the other side of the fence. And it stopped there and it kept like looking at the little fledgling baby bird to like come follow her. And sure enough, the fledgling bird, you know, it started hopping over, but she flew like across the street. And this little fledgling bird had to like, you know, little flappy bird, had to flap and get itself across the street to her. And like, we're watching this all happen. I'm like, if this bird like hops across the street, it's gonna get hit. So me and my husband, we just like guided it. Like, we didn't touch it, but we kind of just like, you know, just stood alongside of it as it made its way across the street to the mama bird that was sitting on the fence. And sure enough, cars were coming down the street and we had to stop the traffic to like make sure the bird got across the street okay. And eventually it did. Yeah, we looked it up and eventually saw that fledgling birds, mamas actually push them out of the nest to see how they do as far as being able to learn how to fly. Yeah, the mama just kind of like watches over it until the fledgling starts to take flight. It's a process, but that baby bird, you know, that baby bird isn't thinking about the fear. It wasn't even thinking about the fear of getting hit when it crossed the street, because I mean, it doesn't know any better. But besides that, it just does what it needs to do because that's how nature intended it to do, right? As humans, we have this fear part of our brain. We don't just react. First, we think about it. We stew it in that fear, and then ultimately that fear can eat us alive, and ultimately win out and get the best of us and prevent us from doing things that ultimately will transform our lives for the better. And that's not always good, right? Because then if we're being stifled, we're never gonna learn how to fly. So I just really love this because it is saying that like maybe sometimes you can't think too much about the process, you just have to do. You just have to do it. And eventually the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you do it, and you show up. Showing up is a big part of it, and I'm definitely learning this now at this stage in my life. Like I used to like take one step into the realm of uncomfortability and I'd be like, this ain't for me. And then I would go lay back down on the couch and like, you know, not put any work in. And then ultimately, you know, I'm not seeing any not only results, but like any significant change in my life. And then ultimately it keeps repeating the same cycles and patterns. So if you want to really break free from those cycles and patterns that are keeping you stuck, you really just have to take that first step and then keep showing up every day. And it's a process, and yeah, it's gonna take a while, but you will get there. You just have to keep climbing that mountain, and then ultimately one day you're gonna realize that you're at the top of that mountain, and you're gonna look down and be like, wow, I climbed really far and I didn't realize, you know, how far I climbed because I was so busy actually climbing to think about like, you know, the climb. So if you can think about it like that, and that kind of goes back to the title, The Distance Between Two Selves, because you know, one day you're at the bottom, but if you're not thinking about it, you're just keep showing up every day, doing the work, going through the motions, just doing it, showing up. One day you're gonna look down and you're gonna like see your past self down there and be like, wow, I made it really far because I stopped thinking and just started doing. I started showing up for myself. So I really love that. Very powerful message, and that has rung so true for me in the past like month or so. I'm really trying to show up and do the work, like a lot of personal inner work and a lot of physical work too, you know, getting on a new routine, trying to break old habits. It's a lot of work, but I'm doing the work now, and like now I'm starting to see some results. So keep at it, just keep showing up. And then let's read the title of the book, When Wolves Become Birds. When wolves become birds, growing, snapping bones, tight skin, what shall become of werewolf girls, who shave their pelts and molt, feathers instead, who at full moons seek out the stars with their wings? What happens when you finally believe you are worthy of life below this vast sky, and that this sky is yours? It's hers and his and ours. The hours are counting down. And I like the sound of endless possibility. I like the sound of my heartbeats at midnight. Wolves become birds and will fly. Our howls become songs. Mockingbirds repeat. I love that line. What happens when you finally believe you are worthy of life below this vast sky, and that this sky is yours? I love this line so much. Wolves become birds and will fly. Our howls become songs. Snapping bones, tight skin. So this is kind of like the metamorphosis, kind of like how a butterfly or like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. Obviously, you know, a wolf can't become a bird, but in reality anyway. But I really love her metaphor, and just visualizing the process of how a wolf would become a bird is very interesting. So that is all I'm going to read for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed this book. This is called When Wolves Become Birds by Alise Versella, and you can get this on aliseversella.com. Thank you so much to Alise for sending me this signed copy. I'm so glad to be able to purchase this and support you and your work, and I hope we get to like meet up soon, because you know, we're both from Jersey and we both love Francesca, and we should just like have a like cool Francesca reading party one day. I don't know. But anyway, that is it. Check her out, and I will leave her Instagram here and all of her socials in the description bar down below. But thank you so much, and I will see you guys back on my channel very soon. Also, check out bohemianmagicstudios.com for more tips and tricks on how to live a magical life, and also on my Instagram as well. And you guys can support me and my work on patreon.com/bohemianmagicstudios. And yeah, support small creators, guys, especially in you know, today's day and age, and you know, through this pandemic. A lot of us are just, you know, struggling, trying to make it with our art. So that is all, you guys, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye. Buy this book and other titles at aliseversella.com. Thank Thank you so much to my patrons for making these videos possible. Megan Baker, Dee Carubia, Michelle Zeman, Rachel Carter, Alyssa Wilson, Shelley Hitch, Kelsey Wood, Caitlin Morris, Heather Johnson, Jessica Fraunrath, Jen Reichley, Anne McLaughlin, Nydia Y. Sprella, Kelly Skelly, Krista Rimmer, Gina Marie Clark, B. West, Grace Felton, Jennifer Lee, Casey Florals, Kendra Hesketh, and Jana Corbell. You can support me on my creative journey at patreon.com/bohemianmagicstudios.